Hey guys, welcome to the 7th episode of the second season of the Melee Stats podcast, starring me, SaveAsUntitled.
Me, Edwin Budding.
Me, Fire.
And special guest. Oh, I already screwed up.
It's okay.
The show's over. We're done. So, JD, for those who may not be familiar with your everything you've done for the you've done a lot, especially those rap PRs. Big fan of that. Could you give a little bit of a background of who you are, where you're from, what you play, all that jazz?
Sure. So I am a Tri-State Fox. I was ranked 15th on the New York City Tri-State. It's kind of hard to pinpoint exactly what it covers, but I was 15th on the PR for the last 2 seasons. I've been playing since high school, which was like 2012, 2011, but really first tournament was late 2013. Haven't really stopped, but have yet to have like a big breakout. I've gotten like top 64 at Shine 2018, Super Smash Con 2016. I also got 49th. So I'm like, kind of on the verge, have a bunch of top 100 wins. So I'm like getting there, but not special by any means gameplay wise, just another, Fox has been playing for about 5 years. I also have a YouTube channel that I'm not going to shill for too hard, but I'm out here just trying to mix my love for comedy with my love for Melee and make stuff that people can relate to and kind of understand that you need to be in the Smash community to get. I think like it might sound lame, but I think inside jokes are like some of the most special things ever and just bring people together so much. So, I have a song that's like, You Didn't Make Top 100, where it's just a whole bunch of people who are outside the top 100 range, but it's sung to the We Didn't Start the Fire, and that's my magnus opum of sorts. So
I still think you should bring back the weekly highlights. Your editor was really good. I think he did a great job.
That was you.
Yeah,
you did those.
I did the thing.
So much chilling.
For all the new people, where can they subscribe to your YouTube channel?
Fire, don't encourage him.
Oh my god, I'm really getting my money's worth for this. Holy crap. Also, I paid to be here, quite literally. So
yeah, this was a compendium goal.
Yeah, shout outs to Big House. They actually paid me first, and then I gave the money back generously. So you can follow me at JD Comedy Gaming on YouTube. You could also, if start a new pod. Oh my god, never mind. Not talking about podcasts.
Come on, talk about at the end of the show.
Sorry, I just got carried away. All right, that's me. That's a long intro.
So after shill, our first topic of the night is the state of Melee. I'm not exactly sure. This is very broad, Edwin. You didn't really expand on it. You probably wrote a great 6 paragraphs on Monday Morning Marth about it. So I'd love to hear what you think the state of Melee is right now, of a dying game. Fire's reaction. It looks like
God,
that physically.
I'm so annoyed, dude. I don't have time for this.
Come on.
All right, now I always think that I always think that the pre-Genesis, at least over the last 2 years, period of Melee is sort of like this little lull where we talk about rankings a lot and we talk about predicting we'll move forward and we have a nice time to sort of recap on the year. And now it's been a little over a month since Ultimate came out. We got, 2 weeks until Genesis, which is going to be the first really big tournament of the year for the Melee community. So it's just, we're kind of in an interesting state right now. We have a lot to look forward to. We have a new game. We don't know exactly what the impact is going to be on the Melee community. We don't know exactly how rankings will turn out. It's just it's a both dead time, but it's also quite it's kind of like the calm before the storm.
It's like a pre-season kind of.
Yeah, so there's all this anticipation of things that are going to happen at not just Genesis, but in 2019 for the community as a whole in general. So rather than treating this like a period where nothing is happening, I've been trying my best to view this as not even an off season. This is like you said, a preseason for Melee. So I'm not really sure what else I wanted to say here because there's a lot of different directions we could branch into. But this is basically just to anyone who's listening or watching this, don't think Melee is dead, and don't think right now is a dead season. We got another 2 weeks before the biggest event of the winter, and we should be excited for that. And we're already celebrating the best players of last year. This is by no means a dead scene right now. It's actually pretty thrilling.
Right. And another way that people talk about the dead game is they talk about how it's boring and the same people keep winning. Well, homie, have you watched 2018? We've had like the most winners since 2007. This game is thriving, baby. We got Amsa, a Yoshi. He was in the top 10 in the summer and probably, wink, in the top 10,
No spoilers.
Yeah.
I think there's a tweet that Nunn put out that really encapsulates it. It's like, Melee's not dead, it's just hibernating. And I mean, if you think about it, this is the only time in Melee's existence that a new game has come out with this much energy. And not just from the people playing the new game. Like Smash 4 had a good amount of hype because it wasn't Brawl, but it didn't have this amount of love, and it didn't have nearly this amount of support from Melee players. So it's a tricky time because no one's looking at Melee like, oh man, this game's done. It's just everyone's trying to find out like what they even want to do with Smash as a generalized thing. And so there's this weirdness of like, what do you even do when there's no big tournaments? And I think Genesis is going to bring everyone together in a new way because, Melee players are going to be hyped to see the best Ultimate players because Ultimate it's just part of the conversation now. And that really brings, the Smash community and the Melee community together.
We're still running.
Also, that's not dead, man. That meme is like is so strong right now.
Oh
Also,
God.
it's January. It's like this is just a weird. It's after the holidays. Like it's just a weird time in January. I know myself. Like whenever the winter comes around, I low energy and seasonal nonsense. So I think we have a lot to look forward to, and just the energy is going to change really soon.
Yeah, I feel like it's we just need Genesis to happen, and then like it feels like the season starts. Like I really think it really feels this like a preseason because especially if not that we're talking. This is not the Ultimate Stats podcast, but in terms of Ultimate, like people have spent like the last month kind of like figure everything out and like throwing stuff in the wall to see if it sticks. And I think like Genesis is going to be like, hey, this is the proof of concept of the last couple of months.
Yeah, actually, going back to JD's point, after doing years of research, I have to talk about
Jesus Christ.
Findings. And a big part of the research is how the Smash community has grown. Like, so for Melee, we had the documentary and we had a bunch of people getting exposure to that and thinking, wow, Melee is cool, let me play this game. But right now for Ultimate, we have the Nintendo Switch. This is probably the greatest console since the SNES, arguably.
Are we still shilling?
Switch, and everyone's going out and showing people the new game. So that's a big part in how people are getting into competitive Ultimate.
I can't wait till you tilt your camera down and your hoodie just says Nintendo.
Yeah, this is natural shilling. Where was it? We should have it. Fire, we gotta do our Melee Stats sales.
I want to do some shilling too because I want to give a shout out to you guys for all the work you're doing.
Okay, all right.
Oh man,
especially
our Twitch viewership just went from 9 to 7. No,
listen up. Look, you can
Scott's Ultimate videos are exactly what this community did not have when Smash 4 came out. People like you and specifically you that are talented content creators that are just like, oh yeah, I'll do some Ultimate stuff too. And that is so important because it just shows like from one YouTube channel with a good amount of following that there's cohesiveness and that we haven't seen anything like that. Like if you like look at what happened with D1, right? Like when D1 went to Smash 4, like he was just like weirdly ostracized from the Smash community. But that's not happening to like Rishi or Levin, Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Did I say Smash? That doesn't make sense. From the Melee people, that's what I meant. So that's not happening because Ultimate's getting a lot of respect, and I think that's just going to show that these two games are going to grow together And then
now?
Melee's gonna
Yeah.
take its place once again as the best competitive game.
To
but
kind of
that's just
add
me.
on to that, I was like speaking on my fantastic Ultimate content. I was like really, really surprised. Like I expected to get like 10s, 20s, 30s of comments being like, "Go back to Melee. Ultimate content sucks." I've gotten like 2 or 3, and like people will respond to those comments and be like, "He's making stuff for both." Like I'm really like pleasantly surprised how well people are taking that. Like I think. I mean, we've said all throughout that this Ultimate doing well is fantastic for the Melee community, but the fact that it's been so interconnected is honestly really awesome.
You know, another thing about the interconnectedness is right before this podcast, I was watching Armada stream. He's in Keitaro's house, and he's with Tweak and Cosmo. So, you know, yeah, pretty sick. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of feel weird in this conversation because I do like Ultimate as a game, but like none of my content or none of my material is centered around Ultimate. I kind of view the way I think the most optimistic way to talk about Ultimate from my perspective at least is seeing the community succeed is kind of like seeing your little brother or seeing an adjacent like family member succeed in something.
Yeah.
And you're not necessarily wishing that they die so that you can take their fortune or so that they can take their inheritance. but you definitely know that it benefits everyone, that they'll take you out to dinner every now and then. You get a free meal. You know what I mean? Like I think.
Oh my God! Yeah.
It is good
That's a
that
perfect
people like
analogy.
It is good that people like Leffen and Armada are engaging in this other game. Although I really wish Armada would come back, but I think it's a net. It's a net win.
Yeah.
Have you seen Leffen's first Melee stream? He basically took his Ultimate audience and he started addressing all their points, all their concerns with Melee, and explaining why he loves the game. That was so sick.
That's the bait and switch.
Yeah,
That's how we get him.
The bait and switch.
Yeah, and the the biggest conspiracy theory is that Samox waited till Ultimate kids came in droves, and now he's ready to brainwash them.
Yeah, this is actually it's funny you mention that. So, not that I have anywhere near the same platform as Samox, but one of the reasons I did hold off on publishing the Book of Melee for so long is because I know that there's going to be a segment of Smashers that are interested in still reading long-form content. So maybe like 15 people or 20, but those 15 or 20 will have come from Ultimate, hopefully, and maybe they want to learn more about the Melee scene and why their favorite Ultimate streamer Leffen talks so fondly about the game.
Yeah,
so I could totally see Samox doing that on purpose.
Well,
Samox is going to get a copy of Edwin Budding's Melee book.
This is a shill podcast. I love it.
Yeah,
I was hating on it before. No, this is actually great.
Well, there's a lot of love to go around, especially. I think Samox is an interesting point because, like, I think there's going to be a lot of, like, there's going to be a huge difference somewhere. Either maybe it's even like locals going up or the next major goes up, but I'm like, there's a good chance that his doc comes out on like Netflix, right? Like, isn't he
trying to get on Netflix?
I
think
impact. So, knowing Samox and his philosophy on information and consuming information and using information and sort of making videos and how he wants his videos to be received, I think it'll be very difficult for him to get it published on somewhere like Netflix, where copyrights and things like that will be a much bigger issue. But if he manages to make it work on Netflix, it'll be that much better.
Yeah.
If he manages to have it work as an independent film, like in the episodic series on YouTube again, that'll be equally great. Man, it is exciting. I know we had another PPMD update, and you know, you don't want to add too much pressure to someone like PP and dissect the words bit by bit. But any update I think is good, and the fact that he's stating March and between March and May as returning to streaming, I think is great. Just regardless of whether he's competing or not, him being an active member of the scene.
All those kids with the Switch are going to start talking about Melee and how it's the greatest competitive game of all time.
Damn right it is.
That's sick.
Does anyone have any more remarks on the state of Melee before we move into a very early speed round?
Yeah, I'm gonna make one last thing. If he doesn't make the list, I think it is very criminal that Lint did not make top 100. I think looking through his data and his wealth of wins, and looking through his looking through his wealth of wins, and looking through just his general consistency. I know his nationals weren't like necessarily stellar, but I thought looking through the list and looking through all the results, there were like 90 to 95-ish people that I was pretty confident were top 100, and at the very least like maybe a little under 90. And like Lint was one of those people who I had absolute certainty was going to make it. And the fact that he didn't make it sort of stunned me. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I guess I don't really have any other point of talking about this other than saying that Lint was robbed, hashtag free Lint, and that he will certainly make top 100 this year, if he didn't last year.
You said you peg it up mainly to his performance at nationals. You think that's the biggest reason?
No, I don't even think he performed particularly badly. I just think people just didn't pay attention to him. Like he did so well in region. It wasn't like he just beat Slox with a absurdly negative record on him or something. Like he was obviously he was negative on Slox, but he was still competitive with them. He went back and forth with hacks at bigger tournaments. Like he had really good results in Tri-State and like finished the year highly ranked in it. And just I think it says something about the panel process. Like I don't think people were doing their I think if he didn't make the list, like I don't think people did their due research.
There were some to counter that a little bit, and I agree that Lint should be on top 100, but there were some very rough tournaments that he's had. There was one Long Island tournament where he didn't make it out of pools.
Yeah, I know the one you're talking about.
So there were a couple tournaments where Lint would just like completely not get anywhere close to where he was supposed to go. And I don't know how panelists considered that, but that's a little disqualifying, frankly. And again, like his majors, I think he just needed literally one more win. Like it's so tragic. But I mean, everyone has to get robbed. I mean, every year someone has to get robbed, rather.
I mean, I will say, like, it was really tricky sorting out the ranks at the end because they either had a really, like, one or two really good wins and, like, some terrible losses, or they were just consistent, but they didn't really have, like, that, that solid win that'll put them in the top 100. And there was nothing, like, differentiating a lot of them. So it was just really tricky.
Yeah.
I think there's nothing differentiating, like the people 95 and below. But the first 95 people I had, I was very confident that Lint was one of them. And the fact that like he doesn't see, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he makes 60 to 70, but I feel like I ranked him fairly highly or favorably. And if he didn't make it this far, he's probably not making it in the rest of the list. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he makes 69 or something. Then that is fantastic.
60 to 70 is too high for him?
Between what?
You think
60 and 70? Yeah, I think that's a little high for him. And I think I'd view him pretty favorably at like low 70s, or I forget where I had him exactly. I had him like low 70s, or high 70s, low 80s somewhere. And another name I was surprised not to see make it was Free Palestine. I'm not necessarily like angry that he didn't make it. I think he made 99 on my list. So, but I thought by name recognition he would have a lot more support.
Too controversial.
I think it's time.
All right, that's all I had to say.
Okay.
Someone else I was getting confused on when I was doing the last few was Morse code. So it's pretty cool to see him make it in because he has that dunk win, which is powerful, but it gets so tricky after that.
Yeah, always the end of the list is a little weird, but I think with that we can jump over to the Melee Stats speed round. I assume you guys are all familiar with the rules. 5 questions. Whoever gets the most points wins. And instead of having an order and switch it around every time so I lose track of it, I've already picked the order of everyone will go in the questions. Hopefully it's not biased for anyone to win.
So you're running it?
Yeah, I've been running it for... so you can't lose the...
Come on, Fire. Catch up on the episode.
All right. So first question, this one's a little bit of a mouthful. Everything else is simpler after this. So we've moved to the new top 100. For the early parts of that, we have the bullet point system. So you're a top 100 player. You just barely make the ballot. These bullet points would you rather have? Secured ninth at Even Bigger Vault after defeating Bizarro Flame, defeated Blayajello and placed in the top 64 at the Big House, or got fifth at Xanadu taking a set from DJ Nintendo. Edwin, you're up first. And if you need me to repeat them, I can say them again.
That it is just a long question.
Yeah,
Can you repeat it again, please?
So,
It's free.
Okay.
Free.
So you make the top 100. What bullet point would you rather have under your name? Ninth at Even Bigger Balk, beating Bizarro Flame. Placed top 64 at the Big House and defeated Blayajello. And fifth at Xanadu, taking a set from DJ Nintendo.
So I have to pick between one of these three?
Yes. What would you rather have on your card? Your place of fame?
You know, I have maybe this is why I'm not a top 100 player, but the thought of losing to a Ganondorf I can't abide by it. It just would make me so sad. And beating a Ganondorf alone and avoiding knowing that I have lost to a Ganondorf is enough to make me want to pick Bizarro Flame. So I'm going to go with that.
All right. Fire, what would you rather have?
Listen up. When I get to that level, I'm not picking a point. I'm doing all of the above. I'm not losing to a freaking Ganondorf. I'm placing top 64 at the Big House. And I'm beating DJ Nintendo. I'm beating the man who can commentate, the man who knows every matchup, and the man who beat Fox with Bowser.
All right. And JD?
Wait, did he just pick all of the above?
Yeah, he did.
Is that allowed? All right.
Yeah, this is silly.
We'll see.
The answer is obviously 2. Like Blayajello is the strongest of those 3, and top 64 at a super major is the most impressive. So it's 2.
So JD, you gave the most reasonable answer. I'm between Fire and I want to give it to Edwin. All the above's a good answer, but I think Edwin got a solid answer.
It's just not losing to Ganondorf.
All right, Fire, you're opening up on this one. It's going to be Fire, JD, Edwin. A bit of an open-ended question. Who do you think has the best tag in the top 100? Kind of previewing what we're going to talk about later in the show. For whatever reason, you can define what best means to you.
Does it have... Sorry, Save, I just want to clarify.
Mm-hmm.
Does this have to be out of people that have only confirmed make it, or can we talk about people that are likely to have made it?
Likely to make it, we'll take that. Yeah. Either last year or this year's, yeah.
So I think it's just tag, like not the player.
Yeah, tag.
You
got a tough one to start on.
Yeah, you know, I gotta say, it has to be Mango.
I knew. Who would have guessed? Who would have guessed?
Mr. Old Mango. First off, screw that song. You know, screw that Ludwig Anders video. Don't make it. But he made, like, you can make bars with that name. You know what I'm saying? And that name is so free flowing and recognizable. Like not even like even if he wasn't big, like everyone just be like, oh, sick Mango. Like what a sick name. You know, even if he played the lamest play style of all time, just be like, it just has a ring to it. It's got to be Mango.
All right. JD, what do you have?
So very rarely do you get a tag that sticks with you and makes you talk to people, and then after you bring up the tag, you say, no, but he's actually like the sickest player from this state, and you start popping off for the player. I think Smash Daddy has to take it for me, because it's that on first glance it kind of makes you think like this is the lamest thing ever, but then you just look at him and he's like thick haircut, just like style oozing, and then you see the guy play Fox and you're like freaking out. So Smash Daddy just as a package just takes it for me.
All right, Edwin?
I'm going to go with a seemingly weird answer from me, but there's something beautiful about Captain Smuckers, because like when you think of Captain Smuckers, he plays Captain Falcon, right? So like you can't, and like whenever you watch Captain Smuckers, he'll just like, when he gets a grab on people, he just like mercilessly chases them down, like how I imagine real life Captain Falcon would do. And he's like, outside of I think hacks, Captain Smuckers is probably like the most beloved tri-state player, and like people go absolutely bonkers over him, like chanting "Smuck him up" and stuff like that. And also, just it's such a sick name, Captain Smuckers, and I think of him destroying Zane at the gang. And it makes me sad, but it also makes me hype because he's just a sick player and he has a sick tag.
Wholesome answer, Edwin, but JD easily gets that point for the round. Also, Fire, as you were getting ready to answer, I was thinking in my head, if you say mango, there's no way you were getting the point. So you fell right into that trap. All right.
His loyalty to mango.
Yeah.
So, Dave, real quick.
Yeah.
So we were playing the Jackbox game, the rap verse game, and I had a rap battle, right? And then I got called out hard. It was just like something-ish, something like a mango fetish, and then like the whole crowd just went, "Ooh."
I think you might have gotten negative points for bringing that up.
Wow.
Okay. Next question. It goes JD, Edwin, Fire. Also kind of previewing something we're going to suck later. A new player has enough money to go to a single major in 2019. Which one would you suggest for them to go to? They can only go to one. JD, you're up first. New player, brand new to the game.
So like all assumptions is that like, let's say they get like, it's going to cost the same depending on
where they have like a free ticket, one free major.
Shine. And I say shine because it's in the summer, so it kind of like is a fun time, even if it gets cold. Like, you know, Full Bloom might be a little cold in Indiana, stuff like that. But Shine is like right now such a spiritual experience. There's so much history behind it now. It's had 3 years to kind of like grow into itself, but it's been the most reliable in terms of like twists and turns and just like silliness happening, just hype moments. And there's no reason to believe that the TOs are going to drop the ball because they have had almost like no controversy from what I remember. Like maybe Saturday went a little late for the top 64 one or two times, but in general, they've just been kicking ass. And two, like, you know, it's going to be just weird. And a lot of other tournaments have had, you know, certain iterations not really live up to their hype. Like I wasn't too thrilled about Big House 2018.
Right. I'm giving you a little bit to wrap it up, JD.
Shine is what you got to do. Thanks. That is a speed round. Respect that.
All right. So then, Edwin, you're up next.
I think for a new player, without a doubt, you should go to Evo at least once in your time, once in your life, if you're really serious about picking a term to go to. Just the sheer like magnitude of the stage, the like ability to watch just hype matches everywhere in this little corner of a convention center. There's a certain kind of intimacy and history that comes with the environment and understanding, being in close proximity with the players that you see watch on the big screen all the time. Now, normally for a regular player, I would say this is pretty unimportant, but this is someone who's new to the scene. Chances are that they're not going to be worried as much about playing the game nonstop as they might value just feeling included, part of something. And Evo is really big on that. So even if they don't get the same playing experience that matters to someone like me or someone else, I think for a new player, being in an atmosphere like Evo, like a party Vegas type atmosphere, being in this really intimate environment, I think that's an experience that for most people, like, you should have that at least once in your life. And for a new player, it's especially valuable.
All
so
right.
That's my pick.
And Fire?
So to continue the shill tradition of this episode,
Oh, God.
come through to Genesis 6. But real talk, my answer is Genesis. So when we talk about Melee, we talk about new players feeling the magic of Melee. It has to be Genesis. I've always heard about the energy in the room during Genesis 1, Genesis 2. I saw the footage live stream. Obviously, I wasn't there in person. And I've heard even better things from the people in person. But Genesis 3, it was such a magical moment. Because as Mango was going on that run, after having an absolute slumping 2015, it was just incredible to watch. And then he beat Hungry Box, and then Armada's playing on point. And we had the rematch after what seemed like a rivalry stuck in 2014. And it was just beautiful. And then again, Genesis 4, you had that crazy run. And Genesis 5,
right.
Plug.
Finish up your answer, Fire.
You could think it's Mango. You could think it's because of, Armada or whatever. But no, it's just the energy in the room. There's so many things that go right. PPMD.
I'm going to cut you off, Fire.
Right.
Edwin gets the point, balancing between genuine and I really like how you approach the question that is in hand, like a new time player being able to see them. So
yeah, I thought Genesis, but one of the reasons I was a little hesitant is because I think a new player might not be familiar with that. So like the gravitas of like I would say Genesis well, it depends on my experience because this is my first year going. But I would say for a new player, they may not like understand that.
All right. For the fourth question, it's going to be Fire, JD, Edwin. It's starting to get a little bit goofier. Which of these players are still likely to make the top 100? We haven't gone to this farther enough in the list yet. Which of these players made me the most to make the top 100? We have Homemade Waffles, Chillin' Dude, and Kage. Who is the most likely to somehow still make this list? Fire, you're up first.
Okay, so while I value the entire year when it comes to the ranking, I do look for upward trends, and I give it slight favor if I feel like it's very tough to decide. Mm-hmm. And so I would have to give it to Chillin' Dude for having that win over Toussaint.
All right.
That's my answer.
So JD, you're up next. Homemade Waffles, Chillin' Dude, or Kage? Who's going to make it?
This is not going to sound like a legitimate answer, but it's real. I think Homemade Waffles is going to take it because I think everyone with a ballot is biased. And so I think that California is just going to come through with like it's going to be just like the Democratic primaries where you think you're going to have a winner.
This is
and then California gets their vote, and then all of a sudden the entire momentum shifts. So I think Homemade Waffles is he's gonna be like 69.
The ballot, it's like 90% East Coast. There's like 7 of us.
Edwin, you're up. Close it off.
Okay, so the question is who do you think is most likely to have made it, right?
Yes.
I'm gonna say Chillin' also, but not because he beat Toussaint. If it was just about beating Toussaint, it would be another member of this podcast who would have been on the nominee train.
That's what I'm saying, dog.
But it wouldn't. But I don't think that's it. I think the real reason is because he beat Spark earlier in the year, and that's my difference.
All right, JD gets the point. That's the easy choice. So we're tied 2-2 going into the final question. Fire, you can steal the point and make it really complicated for me to decide the winner. This last question comes from a famed Melee Stats contributor and member, Ambi Sinister. And it's going to go Edwin, Fire, JD. Would you rather be top 20 at Ultimate and hate every second of it, or in love with Melee but entirely unable to win a set no matter how hard you practiced? Edwin, you're up first. This counts towards your time, Edwin.
Okay, so I know exactly what Ambi is referring to because I'm not going to mention his name specifically, but there is one person who I know he is specifically referring to when it comes to playing Melee and never winning a set. So I'm going to take my knowledge of that person without revealing who they are on the podcast and just say from the knowledge I have of their time in Melee and the knowledge of their life, I'm going to go with Ultimate. I do not want, if he is asking me whether I want to be top 20 in Ultimate and hate it, or whether I want to be the singular entity of the other person, and I'm going Ultimate all the way. That's my pick.
All right, Fire.
It sounds super funny, but first off, shout outs to the vote. But my answer has to be Ultimate because so I personally enjoyed Brawl a lot more than most Melee players. And when you're playing Brawl or like Ultimate, which I like even better, like when you're playing it well, you're actually doing like quite a few mix-ups in the neutral game, and you have decent punish, with some creativity. It's like, what do they call it? Discount jazz. So yeah, like it's still sick. I think being good in Ultimate's still sick. Nothing like Smash 4. I would take that.
All right, and JD, to close it off.
Oh my God. I mean, why would we play a video game if we're going to hate every second of it? Like, are you so blinded to the bliss of victory that you can't fathom a world where you enjoy the game without winning? Are we so blinded?
Dude, I'm just saying, I know the vote.
It's my time, Edwin.
Oh, yeah.
It's my time right now. Okay? It is more valuable to have fun. I would rather be the worst Melee player and have... He did not mute him. Anyway. I'd rather be the worst Melee player, because imagine, like, I do pretty well at majors, but I don't make any money, so just imagine I had more fun when I go. Like, even, like... If I go 0-2, who cares? Because I'm loving every second of that major. That's 3 full days of just bliss. And plus, if you hate Ultimate and you hate every moment of it, then you also hate hanging out with the Ultimate homies. So you'd have to bring your own friends to tournaments. And that kind of sucks.
Dude, I'm just saying, I know the vote. I know exactly what Amy's referring to. I'll take that.
Despite the fact that Edwin, I wanted to give Edwin the point just for the fact you spent half your time laughing and unable to talk. I think JD gets the answer for a good balance of funny and wholesome. So, JD on his first Melee Stats podcast takes the win. Take this minute to shill even more. Or do whatever you want.
Now you can shill about the...
Okay, so there are a couple projects that I'm really excited about. I'm actually currently doing 2 weekly podcasts myself. One is a podcast called SSB Wannabes. You can find that on Podbean or YouTube. And that's just like me and my friend Wasabi. He's another green fox from Tri-State. Ugh. And we just talk. Like, we just talk about what it's like being these players that are trying. Like, we're SSB wannabes, right? We're trying to make it in this world that makes no sense to anyone, but we understand each other. So we talk about ourselves. Another one is the Tri-State Ultimate podcast. If you're into Ultimate, my buddy Chess is leading this group of, it's me, him, and 2% Milk. We talk about Ultimate. And third, I have a documentary coming out also with Chess. We go down. He's a big fan, by the way. LGBT Chess, follow the guy. He's my best friend in the community. But me and him went on a month-long road trip 2 summers ago, and we recorded the whole thing, and it's taken 2 years to edit, but we're finally closing in. So keep eyes out on that. Also, on Saturday, we're going to talk about Gigahog, but if you can, tune into Encore Esports, because I'm doing a first ever Smash Variety Hour where we'll play trivia about Melee. We have 6 guests lined up. It's going to be between singles and doubles, so check that out too. Wow, that's a lot of shilling. All right, I'm done.
Yeah, dope. And I think that kind of wraps up the speed round and moves us into our next topic, which I believe is your topic, JD, talking about the experience of the majors. We kind of hinted to...
So JD paid for this also. Transparency.
2 separate payments.
The truest shill. So, yeah, this is all you, JD. Where do you want to take this?
Okay, so I'll say now I'm very open. Please interrupt if you have anything to say, any comments, because I have a tendency to go long when I talk about this topic, so I would love to hear you guys' voices and your opinions. But essentially, this is the backstory of this segment happening. So I had a small marketing budget for this company, VigorPath, which is an offshoot of the company I work for. And part of one of my marketing campaigns was to go towards Smash players, and so I used company money to buy this topic for the Big House 8 Compendium. But it's not just that, it's also a blog series that I wrote. If you look up Smash Major Thrive Guide, VigorPath, it'll take you to a 5-part episode, or a 5-part series. Whew, I'm going long. Thank you guys for letting me talk so much. So when you go to a major, I like to break it up into 5 segments. There's the decision, there is preparation, there's the first half, which is like Thursday, Friday, the second half, which is Saturday, Sunday, and then post-tournament. And you have to think about how you're going to approach all these different parts of the tournament. So for the first decision, you have to make sure that you're doing general travel. Like, you have to treat yourself like an adult, make sure your plans are ready. Don't go to a tournament without having hotel or housing accommodations. Like, that shouldn't need to be said, but so many Smashers will just show up and not understand that they have to, like, have a place to sleep. So I hate that I have to even talk about that. The second part is preparation. You have to think about not just playing. Like I think you should play every day for a month leading up to a major. That's the way I like to do it. Don't burn out. Don't play for 8 hours a day. I don't know if you guys have different methods, but I like to taper it where I'll play like the first 3 weeks. I'll try to go up to like 2 hours a day, and then just do 15 minutes for the week before. Do you guys have different strategies for that?
As in like preparing for majors,
Yeah.
I just try to get as much sleep. I know ahead of time, come major time, I know I'm not going to be able to sleep as much. So I don't know. It's kind of, it depends on my mood too, and like my goals entering each major. So entering Big House, for instance, I was really excited to see one of my friends who, or actually, I think I was excited to see Kay because I hadn't met him before in person. There's another Melee Stats person. So like one of the things I was most excited for was just seeing two of my friends there and just like being part of a really cool historical tournament series. Whereas for Shine, I know I wanted to make it out of pools, so I did sort of what you said.
Word. Yeah, it's person by person. For the first tournament, just play a lot. And I'm going to keep going as if this is someone's first major that they're going to, because that's when it's most valuable. You don't have this experience. So okay, you show up, you have a place to stay, you understand your schedule. Check your pools like 80 times. Don't stop checking your pool until your pool happens. I actually included a tweet from Chillin' Dude where he goes, well, I'm DQ'd from Shine, check my pool time on Thursday night, and it said 4 p.m. Then I got a call at 10:30 saying I had 10 a.m. pools, LMAO. So it can happen to the best of us, but if there's one thing you take away from this is that you need to check your pool a billion times before, you actually have to do it. But otherwise, the first couple days, like, understand it's a marathon. Everyone that I know, one of their biggest problems is that they'll take advantage of the 24-hour venue, or they'll drink the first night, or they'll just be so excited that they like can't stop moving or can't stop playing. They play for 80 hours. You need to take your time those first couple days, because once it comes to Saturday and Sunday, you're going to want to actually enjoy top 8. You're going to be itching to be there, but you're going to be too tired or you're going to feel sick. And also, when Saturday comes around, you want to have the energy to walk around the venue 30 times, finding the best top 64 matches, which I think is another tip. That's the best part about being in a major, is seeing the sick off-stream matches that you only learn about through Twitter.
Yeah, it's
so cool.
like M2K versus Load Spiller. Shout out to that. I've mentioned that story a million times on stream.
Getting to see L beat Wizzy at the Big House was really sick.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, you got people standing up on chairs and like the typical like, hey, what's the score? Like that meme where it's death comes in and anyway, I'm butchering that, but
no, I know what you're referring to. Dude, when HBox and Chew was happening at Evo, now obviously I'm no fan of Puff Icy sets, but I remember there being so many people who just crowded to see HBox Chew, and like there's so many hushers like, oh, what's this? Oh, it's HBox Chew. And it was like because Chew took a game, and just the flock of people just crowded over for the off-stream match.
So cool.
Yeah, it's the sickest. So I'll just wrap this up. Party as hard as you want Saturday and Sunday. Like, take advantage of your time. You're going to feel sick on Monday anyway, so just take the last reserves of your energy. Enjoy the cuisine of the area. Just have as much fun as you can, because you're going to miss it as soon as it's over. And then afterwards, the post-tournament blues, which...
Oh, that's so true. After Evo, I was so sad.
Yeah,
I actually hadn't... usually after the end of each majors, I feel like a little sad, but after Evo, I remember feeling particularly just like really down, like on the flight back and stuff, because I'd seen a lot of my friends at Evo, and just like for whatever reason, just leaving, it just kicked me in the ass, like emotionally. Also, I was stuck in Arizona for a little bit and had to take a second stop in DC, but that's separate of it. I remember just feeling really sad leaving Evo.
And this is what I want to spend a little more time on this just real quick, because this is where everyone kind of just like drops their Smash love because they're burnt out, and they kind of forget that they still have long-term goals. And you are in such a unique spot after a tournament to improve so much more than any other time because if you spent that time grinding and playing a bunch of different friendlies with a bunch of different people, every second that you're not like writing those notes down or making mental notes or just thinking about it and dwelling on that, all that information is going to just leave your body. And so I think it's vital. Like if you have a plane ride, spend like an hour on that plane ride just writing down what you learned from your sets. And another thing that is really big is solidifying your contacts. Throughout the tournament, you're going to meet so many different people, and you're going to regret not putting a little extra effort to remember them because you can't just meet 40 people and then have that many friends, but you can like follow each other on Twitter and then send them a DM after the tournament. And it sounds very phony and like put on, but realistically, if you just do those two things, ask for someone's Twitter, then DM them, just saying like, "Hey man, it's nice to see you. Like those were sick games." Then next time you see them, you're gonna be so happy. Like you're actually setting up you're growing your roots.
Yeah, I feel like that actually sort of took over the Smashboards shoutouts threads because those sadly, just because the scene's a lot bigger now and it's changed social mediums, that's changed a lot. But I actually I got too lazy to actually pursue this. But after Evo, I sent a message to a few of the people that like a private message to each of the people that stood out to me, and I just wrote like a quick note like, "Hey, it was really fun hanging out with you." And I didn't do it again after Evo, like after Shine and Big House. I probably should have.
No, I don't do it enough either. But if you think about their perspective, like that makes someone's day. Like you go home, you think that you just had a good time, but you don't feel like a part of the community until these online connections start being made, and it just makes your whole experience that much better. So that's all. I could talk about this forever because I wrote a lot about it. But if you guys are interested, there's a lot of stuff I go over. I put a lot of work into this 5-part series, and so I'm happy you guys gave me the platform to kind of completely shill about my company, like literally definition shill, which is buying for time on a podcast.
It's okay, dude. It's good hearing your insight on it on majors. I can't speak for like obviously like your company, and I can't like speak for anything else, but everything like the major, like these are important things. Your insight is pretty good.
And I just saw someone in chat saying this is really helpful, and I have to say, as someone that hasn't ever been able to travel for Melee, this is really helpful just to think about and go through the process each day, each section, friendlies, connections. So
respect yourself. That's the one thing no one does is respect themselves. Your body needs, Vigor Path is all about, taking care of yourself and respecting, but also having a good time. So find the balance, and you'll kick some ass at a major.
I mean, I remember the first time I went to a tournament, like one of the first ones was like SSS, and S2J had this big water jug, and me and my friends and I thought it was so funny, but like no, like you need the resources to to keep going. You need the food. Granola bars are pretty smart in my experience from locals and stuff, and water. Yeah.
Right. I feel like we can talk about majors and sort of like our experiences for a lot. And we talked about it a little before the show, but I think just for the interest of time, we should move on to Giga Hog. And I guess this will be my little shill segment. And if we can get the time, I would love deep dives this week. Happen about it. I'm sure we'll get something out. But long story short, Connecticut is having a really big regional this weekend, and it is Giga Hog, aka Giga Hall of Gaming Era, which is the first Connecticut monthly of 2019. And the reason this is important is because the event just has a shit ton of talent coming to it. I don't think since other than GamerCon, this is really like among the most stacked Connecticut events I've ever seen people pre-register to. Just today, Swedish Delight apparently is coming. So along with Connecticut, you have Swedish and a lot of New Jersey's power ranked players. You have a lot of New York coming up. JD, I don't think you're coming, but if I saw you there, Like, that would have been cool, but
I'm going
whatever.
to the other. I'm going to a different one.
All right,
Oh, wait,
Edwin.
no, that's right. You just talked about it earlier. No, you talked about it earlier.
Yeah.
My bad. Anyway, so New York is coming. New Jersey. A lot of Massachusetts players are coming, like Tiramisu. I guess he's sort of Connecticut. I think Big Joy might come.
Yeah,
but,
he's
like,
on the list.
Yeah, Sess is also coming. A lot, like 6 of New Hampshire's best players are coming. So Calvar, Get a War Machine, Bonfire. I believe Numbers is coming also, although he plays Fox now. Golden. Just there's a lot of interstate talent, and there's a lot of intrastate talent within Connecticut. So Court, I heard today was appearing. I obviously
The old school Court?
yeah. So
Yeah.
with players like Court, you kind of have to temper expectations. Like they could just not show up, or they might DQ. I know there was a hog a while ago where he made top 8 and just DQ'd. But along with him, you have a lot of TMG era Connecticut coming. So a lot of players who were previously ranked in Connecticut but just haven't been active or stopped playing for a while are coming, like Doom and Bolt. I know, so that's a Yukon Peach and formerly ranked Connecticut Peach, and Connecticut Falco, who was ranked for a really long time. And you have a lot of the modern era Connecticut guys. And obviously that's not going into the people that everyone in Connecticut knows, like Palico, Warmer, Lint God is coming there also. I didn't see his name registered, but I'd be surprised if Slox didn't show up. He's been on a break for a while. But just in general, this is a really exciting event to watch out. This is a really exciting event to look out for this weekend, just because of the amount of talent that's there.
Is there anyone, particularly, Edwin, you know the region pretty well, that you expect to have a standout performance here? Anyone you think that people aren't expecting to do well, that you think will do well, maybe because of the field of who's there, or they've just been underrated for a while?
I think this could... There's 2 players, I think, who kind of fly under the radar outside of their region. And this is not just because I know them, but I think Palika and Warmer particularly have really, really good potential. Warmer, he used to be kind of a net play fiend, but he had sort of a very weird play style that led him to really strong results and then really bad results occasionally. But he's gotten a lot better lately and added a lot to his game. He's been improving really quickly. And Palika, when he started off, he actually went to Yukon with me, and I remember not thinking he was very good. He was sort of like a very, I thought oh, he just plays a mid tier, like he's a gimmick.
Who does he play?
He plays Dr. Mario. Mm-hmm. So he actually is a very strong player who has impressed me a lot over the last, since I graduated. And he's just beaten a lot of Connecticut. And I could see, and he has some very strong matchups. Like he hates this character. He hates Falco, but I think he is weird. He is very good in that matchup. Mm-hmm. And he's beaten a lot of Connecticut's best players. And I could totally see him just destroying other people because he is a genuinely really good player. Oh, yeah. And he's impressed me a lot. And I'm not just saying that because he's UConn, because when he was at UConn, I didn't think he was very good, but he's just proven me wrong and proven a lot of other people wrong too. So I hope to see a lot from him.
Oh yeah. Anyone else have any thoughts after looking at the list or seeing anyone who's there they want to look out for? This would probably be more your ballpark, JD.
Yeah. 42nd. I'm holding out for him to be top 100, but I don't know. It's getting hard to see if he makes it, but 42nd is one of the best. Yeah, I think he'll make it too.
He made 60 on my list, so
yeah, I think he was up there on my list too. He's really good.
So you guys are all about to learn about 42nd if you haven't already. But also the Swooper. The Swooper has been.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
He has been just constantly going to tournaments his whole career. The past 2 years, he's gone to a sick amount of majors. He's a Samus from New Jersey. Mm-hmm. One of my good friends, so definitely biased. But I think that he's just gonna. I don't know. I have a feeling he's gonna finally have a breakout, and I can't see a better tournament than this because there's so many people he could take names off of. So I could see a 5th place for him.
Funny thing about Swooper, by the way, one of my friends linked me to this. I write my weekly column, obviously, but I referred to him and JJM as as surprising losses or like bad losses for hacks or something, and he got really upset about it. It's like, dude, like that doesn't
It's
mean
hacks.
you're a bad. It's like you're not a bad player. Like clearly, I know who. Like given that I write about what happens in each region, and like I know who the swooper. I know who you are. Like I'm not. It's not like, oh, you're a terrible player. Hacks shouldn't be losing to you. It's more like when a top 40 player loses to someone who is ranked outside the top 100. It's like within that specific criteria. Like, no, dude, obviously I'm not saying you're a bad player. Like, I know who you are.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Not just the fact that he's top 40, it's just the legacy he has.
Yeah, like I don't know. I do think the swooper is really good. It's just funny you mentioned that because that's the first thing I remember.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he, based on talking to people adjacent to him or sort of like who are in the know of Tri-State, they all seem pretty high on Super, and I think he wants to, like, because he goes to a lot of tournaments, I could see 2019 being a pretty big year for him. So that's a good pick.
Word.
Dope. Any closing thoughts before we move on to our last and a Patreon-sponsored section? Edwin, this is your big time, your big show.
Just shout out, not just because he's a patron, but shout out to Stock. He's put a lot of work into organizing this event, and it's just really cool that Connecticut is bringing all its people back just across different eras. He could go into it as by far a lot more than me because he's been active in the Connecticut scene for a while. But it's just really good to like. I just want to name some other names that I expect to see there, or people that are confirmed. But like Doom, Hoodcash, Rolled Gold, Ricky, Icy, Sweetheart, and Schmingeldorf, and obviously me and Amber Sinister. But but I'm not a notable player, and I don't even think, I'm not sure if Ambi will make it there in time for singles bracket. But it's just, that's like the TMG era of Connecticut. It's and with them, Court, and the modern era of Connecticut, there's just a lot to be happy about. So check it out. Check out Gigahog this weekend, and follow Stock, and I think Hollow Gaming has a Twitter account. Follow Stock and Hollow Gaming on Twitter.
Yep. And for anyone else, for who's not knowing, it's on Saturday, and it'll be streamed over at CT Melee if you want to check it out. If Edwin and JD talking about it has interest to you anymore.
Yeah.
And
I just want to say real quick, first off, shout out to Court. There's a really hype set with Mango and Court from back in the day. Second, I'm not too familiar with a lot of these players, but I really like what I'm hearing. I really like the fact that we have people from all the way in Court's era to, the latest players in the scene. We have people from different areas coming through, because this is how you generate discussion, generate hype, is that you get people interested in the game. You talk about matchups, players, and just like how Prague said in that one segment in a documentary, like just you do these things, you get people hyped, and then Melee keeps going. So,
all right, dope.
Yeah, I just in general, like you'll notice that when I was talking about things to look out for in the event, I'm not talking about like, oh, that like XYZ like ranked player will be here. I'm deliberately talking about players that are regional heroes, because like there's a lot of really cool things to look out for from them if you're a fan of the scene. And just me personally knowing some of them, like seeing them do well on a big stage at a big event with so much Northeast talent, like other than like discounting nationals, obviously, like I really can't think of another New England event. Again, discounting nationals, I can't think of another one where there's so much variety and talent. Like New Hampshire's PR, Massachusetts PR players, Connecticut, New Jersey, like New York. What's next? Like Philadelphia is gonna pull up.
Good
like,
luck with that.
There's just so many people.
Yeah,
it's
our
really
one
cool.
top 100 player.
Oh, he's Delaware now, I think.
Oh my god!
I don't know if he's still in
Who
Philly.
do we have? We have Slug. Is that it?
Slug is pretty good.
No, it's good. I just want a top 100 player. I'll be the top 100 player for Philly. All right, yeah. So do we want to jump
like top 100? Maybe top 100 out of like YouTube smashers.
Ew, that's not.
How did you do? Did you want to set in the ultimate tourney, right?
Yeah, I think I won one or two. So I'm not garbage. I mean, I did better than I did at the
Set
arcade.
or game? Set or game?
I won a couple of games.
Okay.
I only won one set
let's
at
go
the Arcadian, and I lost to I only beat like this 12-year-old playing Peach, and he almost beat me.
Yo,
not a good time. And I think I only beat him because he said he recognized me, so he's probably like a little bit like nervous. Like because he like the third game he was
12
getting
years old.
Yeah, no, like
This is messed up.
Yeah, no, I needed that W. I need that for my ego. All right.
It's good. He's respecting the skill that can come out of people like the little rascals.
Do you want to?
All right, best tags.
Yeah, best tags. We kind of hinted to this earlier in the show. Any tags that really stick out to you? Always when I'm going through the ballots for the top 100, I see like the weirdest tags, and I'm really excited when you see like 2-0 for like God with a wavebird or something.
All right, listen
up.
Dr. PP.
All right,
start.
so I'm gonna mute you, and there we go. Much better show.
I think I mentioned this in my column, but Glock and my Toyota I think is a really great tag. Also a great Twitter that you should follow. I like the Windroses from his Big House 4 tag that is like a really long one. Like, I am unemployed, but here I am at the Big House. I'm trying to remember what it was.
I love that. There's a name.
It's like I am.
Shout out to Finesse Quick. If you remember this, they had the alien. Slime called the alien playing Finesse Quick as the TO of 2037 or something.
That's funny. Oh, here it is. Okay, so I never thought a tag could be as long as this, but here I am at the Big House 4, even though I am unemployed. That was Windrose.
Oh, yeah. I remember
That was
that.
Windrose.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
There's one that's going to be at Gigahog that I've never heard before. Microwave Your Head. That's a fantastic tag.
Yeah, Microwave Your Head is a Sheik / Zelda / Falco player.
That's even
not
sicker.
Mistaken. I played him like twice in tourney. I remember him.
So many
Microwave
sick
Your Head.
tags.
TMG era.
there's a couple I wanted to go over. Body dysphoria.
What? Body dysphoria.
Bodied dysphoria.
Oh, bodied dysphoria.
Yeah. And Trash God.
I don't know about body disorder, but Trash God is
Trash God is
incredible. Trash God, I love the simplicity of it. Just Trash God.
Trash God.
And it's sad because some people will like change their tags, like make nuggets from North Carolina. It was so nice. He's such a good Link player, and then he changed it. I don't even know what his new tag is, but everyone knew him as Nuggets. Like when everyone knows you as something, like I don't know. I went by Poonslayer for a while, and so that had to end. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Get a War Machine too.
Mhm.
Is he ever going to change it? I hope not.
Yeah,
Because Get a War Machine 420 is a pretty sick tag.
GW 420.
Yeah, when you go from like Smash History to Edwin Budding, I think that's a really like awful tag change. Twitter handle
That's
change.
from. Oh. Gosh.
I think
In
Pico would
SoCal, we
be-
have
go
Boosty
ahead.
Turtle, and he used to be Aang the Avatar. I thought Aang the Avatar was a pretty darn cool tag.
Oh, Ang the Avatar. I always like
That's
that
a good
too.
tag.
Good
Yeah.
player. Good player too.
He's
Got to
really
play
good.
many
He's
times.
really good.
There's a point where
I-
you're good enough, you can have a dumb tag and get away with it. Like Smash Daddy would be, like you were saying earlier, would be a really dumb tag unless if he wasn't that great. Actually, no, it's kind of a good tag. I come around to that.
Speaking of
No.
Smash Daddy, another SoCal player I love is Nut, because there's just so many jokes you can make about Nut.
Nut in like all caps too. That really,
Yeah.
really puts it through.
I remember the first time like I heard his name, we were just on a car ride, and several people were just like losing it, like wasted. They're just like Nut, and we just like burst out.
Melee Games era New England would know. It was like 420 or XXX 420 no or XXX Elite Sniper Hacksaw no scope 420. I did your mom last night. Bob Marley XXX or something. That guy. He later changed his tag to just boys.
Shoutouts to Bob Marley.
Yeah. No, it wasn't me. I actually had a good amount of.
Yeah, it was Edwin.
No, it wasn't. But I actually, it's funny we're talking about tags. I used to I went through a period of time where I really changed my tag up a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a bunch of like really bad tags. I had like Revolver, and then
that's
I had
a good tag. I like that. That's simple.
Yeah, I liked Revolver because at the time I was playing a ton of Metal Gear Solid.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought like, oh, Revolver Ocelot, like that's sick. But it wasn't 6, or it wasn't 6. Excuse me. And then I had Jekt for a while. Shout out to Final Fantasy X. I thought Jekt was actually pretty good, and that was going to be my long-term tag. But people just knew me online as Edwin, so I just stuck with Edwin Budding.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a really stupid reason for why my name was Edwin Dexter for a while, and it's really just that I like Dexter as a name. I just think it's a really cool name.
Mm-hmm.
So I got rid of Budding and replaced it with Dexter, but now it's back to the Bud.
Fire, have you always been Fire?
Yeah, see, I got a secret old name, but I'm not gonna go into it because there might be a NetPlay player with that account, and he's gonna be really good someday, and everyone's gonna be like, "Who is this Puff player?" And they'll never know.
Oh boy.
So.
Shout out to my favorite alternate tag name of all time, Merlin the Wizard.
I hate that, Edwin, and I hate you, Edwin.
Dude, you can't touch Merlin.
Oh, I can't. Oh, absolutely.
All right, so what's worse, Edwin's secondary names or his secondary, like his other like tags?
Edwin, the old tags you just brought up are actually like really solid.
No, there were a lot of really stupid ones I had.
You only brought up the good ones? What's the worst tag you've had that you're willing to share?
In SoCal, I entered some tourneys. I entered some of the FD tourneys alternating between Master Shake, like the Aqua Teen Hunger Force character.
That's fun.
And the other one I had was there was one I got like 4th or something at an SD, and people were just like, "Who the fuck is Oberyn Martell?" I just remember running into, and I remember having like a Fox bracket and being like, "Oh, this is sick."
Tags, I think one of the sickest tags of all time is Cheddar. So if you were around for MLG Anaheim 2014, there was a Pizza Hut ad that kept interrupting everything.
Yeah, the Pizza Hut ones, those are brutal.
And it was just this guy who's like, "I'm Blake Shelton, and here you guys get some pizza with some cheddar. So when that guy entered a tournament as Cheddar, it was hilarious.
God bless.
God bless, dude. I remember this.
I have to bring up Fast Like Tree or Pika will come after us. Fast
Like Tree
is a cool name.
And shout outs to his contributions too. Like the reason people pivot is because of Fast Like Tree.
Shout out to Fast Like Tree and Proud Like Cow, or whatever his doubles partner's name was. I forget. God, I should know this. I think it's Proud Like Cow.
Oh man.
Which is also all caps. Yeah, it's Proud Like Cow and Fast Like Tree, all caps. That's what it was.
Hell
okay,
yeah.
Good thing I remembered that.
Do we have anyone else, or are you guys ready to call it a show?
No, I promised the guy who paid for this. Shout out to Etost, one of our patrons. I promised him at least 15 minutes on this topic. How long have we talked about this for?
Oh, I have no clue.
Okay, do you want to just make fun of him for picking this topic?
No, he paid. I mean, he did pay his money. We can say whatever we want now. But
what do you think of what do we think of Etost? Let's go.
No.
You can't handle a real fight.
No.
You can't have being tossed around.
No.
And now we're gonna toss the crap out of him. Shout out to
Etost is great.
What if his name was Excellent Tossed? Or Eggs Tossed?
Well, I mean...
Eggs Tossed, I think, is moving in the right direction, but I don't think we're there yet.
X Tossed? Like EX?
Maybe.
What other words begin with E?
I think it may be something with just tossed. But toss comes off the mouth a little weird. Tossed.
I think if it takes this much effort, it should be scrapped. I think a tag needs to...
Scrapped is a better tag.
Scrapped?
Scrapped is a sick tag.
Shout out to Scrap Metal.
Is that
It's
someone
a player.
or just the scrap metal? It's good, good scrap metal.
If you wanted some good tags, you could be Swipe Right. You could be Homie Simpson.
Homie Simpson. Okay.
You could be Missed Call Mom with a colon.
I like that.
Marijuana Museum, the Band-Aid Bandit, Vitamins and Criminals.
Do you just have a list of like tags ready to go?
Yeah, the two I said earlier were fake, by the way. You could be Amazon Crime. You could be you could be Jock Trap, which is a mouse trap but with protein powder. You could be Addy Mommy, Still in Losers.
Still in Losers. I need that tag.
Rage as Untitled.
That's what I get in all Icy's bracket.
The Pillsbury Dough Man. Apple Bottom Memes. I like that.
Very 2008. I like it.
That old thing? Just one sentence. Those are all my good ones. Not enough outlets.
Apple bottom meme shoots with the blur,
and he's muted. You guys are the only one who are hearing this.
What do you? I'm trying to remember other really stupid tags I entered.
Fire in Michigan. I'm Fire, not you. We're gonna play this out.
Yeah, you gotta play a money match.
Boy.
And you lose
We
your
both
tag.
like count puffs, and we both like using neutral air and just running in. So I'm gonna win that match.
What do we? I used to go on as Jealous 5000 on NetPlay.
Because I'm jealous.
And a bunch of people would just keep asking me if I was zealous, and I was like, no.
Yeah.
I'm a shitty version of zealous. There's also a period of time where I would NetPlay people as Unga Bunga Caveman.
Oh, I love that story.
But I would just keep role playing as a caveman in chat. So I just write Unga and Bunga and like LARP actions and asterisks. Yeah, this is what I did with my spare time for a while.
This is how we got the Edwin budding we know today. This is the tragic backstory.
I'm trying to remember. I had Nookie Monster instead of Cookie Monster, and it was a reference to Limp Bizkit.
That's a double downvote, yeah.
I think I entered another. I think I entered another tournament as like Fred Durst or something. I forget, or like Fred Durst fan or something like that. Shout
out to Posh, who's in downtown LA right now. He literally has like a whole like 3 pages of notes on his phone full of tags, and he will talk to anyone who's willing to about every single one of them, how he came up with it, what it means to him.
What else? God, this is such a. All right, why don't we, JD, as the non-melee stats person, what do you think of? Tell me what you think of each of the tags of melee stats people. I need you to go through them really quickly.
Oh, God.
How's that sound?
You guys have a lot. I don't have a list in front of me, so I might.
No, that's okay. I'll just say it, and you give me your thoughts. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. Oven.
2 ends, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that takes it down. 5.
Okay, Sleepy K.
Oh, that's a legendary tag. Like, it doesn't make sense. 8.5.
Chroma.
Oh, 9.
Edwin Budding.
Perfect 10.
Excellent. All right, next.
It's a flat 7.
Okay. Fairfax.
Fairfax, 7.5.
Oh, Fairfax is sick.
Fire.
Fire, that's like a 9.
Ambisinister.
Oh, I love it. Ambisinister is actually a 9 too, but for like the exact opposite reasons.
343.
A 3.43.
KB.
KBD?
No, just KB.
Oh, well, 2-letter names are my favorite, so 7.
SaveAsUntitled.
Terrible.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
no, a 9. A 9. That's a 9 also.
Hell yeah.
Taffokins.
9 buddies.
Taffokins. Yeah, I was never a fan of that. 6.
Dingus Master.
Oh, perfect 10.
Mr. Pika Pal.
Mr. Pika Pal. That's a 5. Sorry.
How about Wheat?
Oh, Wheat's good. Wheat's 8.5.
Practical Task.
Oh, he's a 10 just because of who he is.
Cyclops.
Cyclops. I'll do an 8.
And YCZ 6.
I can't separate him from his like 6 Samus, so it's
Yeah.
hard. The tag, honestly, probably a 4 because I don't understand it.
Yeah.
And the last one, Pikachu 942.
I thought you said members of Melee stats.
Let's
So
go.
nine-
I'm down for
that's
Pikachu
twice.
being part of the list. Let's go.
Pikachu 942. Again, like I can't separate him from his work, but I have to, right?
Mhm.
That's a 3, man. I'm sorry.
That's all
There's
we
a whole
need.
segment where Blur just roasted Pikachu 942 for his tag. He's like, who's gonna remember that? Like,
Dude, it was so mean.
Yeah.
you know, he's the homie. I love
Yeah,
Pikachu.
at least the numbers kind of have like a ring to it, like Pikachu.
Yeah, I
942.
like it. I like it.
Yeah.
All right, I think
All
that
right, I
about
think
does
that-
it for the
yeah.
show. Yeah, Edwin, do you have our little Patreon? Thank you, everyone. Before we go out, real quick.
Yes, I will get that
Well, actually, can I do a quick show of my own?
Yeah, go ahead, quick.
Okay,
Get
real
it
quick,
over
real
with.
quick.
if you're in SoCal, you're in the Riverside area, then consider coming out to HighlanderCon this Sunday. It's gonna be the biggest Riverside tournament of all time, and it's gonna be a revival. We haven't had our series for weeks now, but everyone is hyped for HighlanderCon. There's gonna be Melee and Ultimate, and you should check it out.
Hell yeah. All right, Edwin, do you have our final shill of the night?
Almost, but I want to ask you something really quick fire. And are you going to be entering the Smash Ultimate tournament? And if so, will we have to pray for you in Ultimate?
So I'm actually going to be entering Ultimate doubles for sure, but I'm still thinking what singles. But yeah.
So what you're saying is that we don't have to pray for you in Ultimate.
Oh my god. Oh my god. End the show. End me.
The Mario, I got a decent Mario.
Okay, so
happens.
all right. So thanks to Alec Vucinic, Carlos Robles, Etost, Greg Schaefer, Jack Harmoning, Jason Kelly, JM,
Sound a little bit
Joey
more
Danowitz,
excited. They're giving us money, Edwin.
Yeah.
Jorgen Stenhammer,
You're not.
Matthew Biddle, Ozen Breton, Potato, Stock Money, and Videotape. Thank you guys so much for your support.
We wouldn't be doing any of this without you guys. Like, shout outs to you all. You guys really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
That about does it for the 7th episode of the 2nd season of the Melee Stats podcast. JD, thank you for coming and thank you for your money.
Thanks,
Yeah,
guys.
so see you guys.
Yep. Shout outs to you.
Bye.